Welcome back to another episode. My name is JC, and I'm a clinical exercise physiologist and cancer exercise specialist. And in this episode, we're going to talk about how to exercise when you have nausea, body aches, and fatigue. I recently received a question from Miss Hicks, and she is 63 years old in chemotherapy. And she says, "How do you expect me to exercise when I'm struggling with nausea, fatigue, and body aches? I don't even want to be bothered with anything. I'm struggling to even get moving." So, when it comes to exercise, you want to make sure that you're using the exercise that target the side effect that you're suffering from or struggling with the most. So, if it's fatigue, then you want to make sure you use exercises that help with fatigue. If it's nausea, then you want to focus on the exercise that help with nausea. So, it could go either way. There is a lot of overlap with certain exercises, but not all of them. In general, the best exercise and the most underrated form of exercise for fatigue and nausea is going to be a walk. A 5 to 10 minute walk is going to do marvelous for improving gut health, reducing nausea, and reducing fatigue. There's so much mental clarity and benefits that come from a 5 to 10 minute walk outside that can be unimaginable if you just take the time to do it. Now, it's going to be challenging because you don't feel like exercise. So, how do you get yourself to exercise when you don't feel like it? Well, you kind of have to force yourself. And that's not an answer you probably like. But if you force yourself to take those 5 to 10 minutes out, you will feel better afterwards. Now, that's not a guarantee to every single person, but 9 out of 10 times, you're going to feel better. It might take a little bit longer than 10 minutes for you. It depends on how much accumulation of inflammation your body has. Because what we know is that fatigue looks to be related with inflammation in the body. So the more inflammation, the more fatigue. Now there's other variables and factors that affect fatigue, but inflammation is definitely one of them. So walking is one of the best forms to reduce that inflammation and give your body an anti-inflammatory effect. But once again, if you have a lot of fatigue, then you might need to do a lot more walking. But for most people, 9 out of 10 times, doing a 5 to 10 minute walk specifically outside and in what we call green space has been shown to reduce fatigue. Does that mean it goes away 100%? No, but it does reduce it and also gives you more energy. So, walking outside for 5 to 10 minutes can be great for mental clarity, feeling better, reducing fatigue, and also reducing nausea. Now, once again, walking is extremely beneficial even for nausea. So, if you feel nauseous throughout the day or after treatment, then I think for walking, it's about 15 to 20 minutes when it comes to nausea, just because it takes a little bit for the stomach to settle down. It does help a lot of the nerves, so nausea can be related to the nervous system. So going for a walk really helps calms the nerves, calms your breathing pattern, improves your gut health, and reduces the toxicity that you can be feeling around your body. So when you go through chemotherapy, the toxin basically goes all over your body, and it also can go into your stomach, and it affects um, how your body responds. So going out for a walk helps calm the nervous system, control your breathing, improves the acid balance in the body, and it also reduces the inflammation. So walking is a great form of exercise. Now, how much walking do you need? 5 to 10 minutes is generally enough for most people to receive some form of mental health benefit and reduce fatigue. Fatigue is as much mental as it is physical, so getting some form of movement outside really helps because it helps with the mental health. Now, you also want to make sure that you are exercising, like I said, outside, but if you can't exercise outside, then any form of cardio is going to be beneficial. It doesn't just have to be walking. Walking is just one of the most accessible forms of cardio. It could be swimming, it could be water aerobics, but not everyone has a pool, not everyone can go outside. So there's different forms of cardio that you can do. 5 to 10 minutes, for the most part, is enough, but you do want to increase that to about 90 to 150 minutes per week. So not in one session, but per week. That turns out to be about 30 minutes 3 days a week, or about 20 minutes every single day. It really depends on your schedule, on your energy levels, and what you can do. But cardio is one of the best ways to improve the aches and pains, to improve the joints, to improve your gut health. It's a phenomenal way to improve your overall health. Now, that is the fatigue and nausea. If you're struggling with those two things as well, you also want to do some form of strength training. This is going to help you feel less tired with certain activities, because the stronger you are, right, the more you can lift and the more you can move your body, then the less energy you have to use to do certain things, because you're strong enough to lift it. So you do want to make sure that you are lifting weights. Now, you want to avoid exercises that, bend you over, that twist, that jump, that are high impact, which is why I didn't say running, because all those can trigger nausea. And you want to focus on exercises that are sitting down or lying down. It depends what you feel best. So, for example, doing a warm up for 5 to 10 minutes is a great way to see how your body's feeling, and doing like glute bridges, clamshells, monster walks, or monster steps side to side. All of those can help you start getting some movement in without making you sick. Now, I would add that you focus on exercises like machines or seated exercises, because it helps you make sure that you're upright and that you aren't, bending over, leaning forward, things like that, that can make you nauseous. So definitely avoid twisting and turning, being upside down, or things like that require a lot of energy. Machines are great because they only focus on one muscle group at a time, so you can really put energy into that muscle without having to use the rest of your body. Bicep curls are great. Using free weights with a bench, so you can use an incline bench. Um, you can use a flat bench as well. I would probably stay away from the flat bench unless you feel fine using it, and that position helps you feel better. But an incline bench is great for shoulder presses, incline curls, dumbbell presses. All of those exercises are fine to do because your back is supported, you're not really moving from side to side, your head is stable, so you can do a lot of exercises with that. I always recommend having like all your exercises, especially if you have fatigue, in one area. Like set up your space somewhere in the corner of the gym, in a space that you feel comfortable with. This is also great if you feel maybe anxiety from being in the gym. So if you just create your own little hub, get a couple dumbbells that you need. Don't grab, 15 different dumbbells. Grab, 2 different dumbbells that you need and use those to do your workout with. That's a great way to isolate yourself a little bit, focus on yourself, and also stop so much moving around and wasting energy. Instead, you can just focus on the exercise that you want to focus on for that day. So, for example, if you have a bench and you have 2 dumbbells, then you can do a dumbbell press for an exercise. Then after that, you can do an incline curl. And then after that, you can do a flat bench with the dumbbell rows. And that's 3 exercises that you didn't have to move all over the gym for. You just have your flat bench and you can do the exercises there. That helps you obviously stay on track, do more exercises, be more efficient, but also it helps you really focus in on the exercises and not be just moving around all over the place. Um, Kind of like a headless chicken trying to figure out what to do, right? So I always recommend having a plan, doing the strengthening exercises all in one place, and always using a bench or machines. Machines are fine because they're usually always together in the same spot, so you can go from one exercise to another if you do have machines that you're working with. But I definitely recommend free weights, that you have those all together in one spot, in a place that you feel the most comfortable with in the gym. Now, the biggest issue here is not so much the nausea and the fatigue, But the body aches, that can definitely stop you from doing a lot of different movements and exercises and lifting weights because you normally don't want to feel more pain. So, walking is phenomenal for reducing nausea and fatigue. We talked about setting that as the foundation of your exercise. But what about the body aches? So, if you have body aches, before doing some weightlifting exercises, I recommend that you do some activation, stretching, and mobility exercises. This is going to help lubricate your joints, give you an anti-inflammatory effect before your workouts, so that way you can feel better during your workout and not have those aches and pains. You got to take about 15 to 20 minutes of warming up to do so. This is going to be a game changer because this is how you actually get more movement in, feel better, and perform better when you're actually doing your lifts. But it does take quite a bit to warm up your body. Now, what I recommend is that you have your warm up for 5 to 10 minutes to use that as your 10 minutes rule, which is basically where you take 10 minutes to just figure out how you're feeling. And if you're feeling good, you continue. If you don't, you stop and try again later. But after those 10 minutes, you include your warm up into the workout. So you superset warm up with a workout. Or in other words, an exercise that is not as high intense as your workout with a higher intensity workout. Because this is going to help you be more efficient at the gym, but also get more done and really work into the full exercises that you're trying to do. So allowing yourself for a good warm-up is key to just reducing those aches and pains around your joints. Now, the caveat to this is you never want to do exercises on areas that have metastasis. So if you have aches due to metastasis, you don't want to do those exercises. So for example, let's say it's a metastasis on the bone, on the hip. You don't want to do a squat, for example, but you can do a leg press or a leg curl. You can do a leg extension and a leg curl, but you can't do a leg press because that leg press is going to put too much force on the hip and it's going to give you more aches and pains. When it comes to metastasis, avoid exercising the areas with metastasis. Now, if it's aches and pains from hormone treatment, for example, that's totally different. You can do exercises for strengthening the joints and the bones because that is what your body needs. So strength training is a great way to help reduce the aches and pains, but it does require you to be more specific with the exercises you do, and that you actually practice them with full range of motion and a nice and slow tempo while you're doing them. Like I said, this is going to help reduce the aches and pains, lubricate the joints, prepare your body for exercise, help you build muscle, and get stronger as you go. So when it comes to working out with nausea, fatigue, and body aches, you want to target the thing that's stopping you the most, the nausea or the fatigue. And then from there, you add on the strength training to give you that stronger, feeling more confident effect that you're looking for. This is what's going to help you get started. But where do you begin with all this information? With whatever is most accessible to you. So if that's walking, then go for a walk. If you have a stationary bike that has a back support to it, then start with that at home. Or if you have, a pool that makes you feel better and reduces a lot of the aches and pains, start with that. You want to start with whatever's most accessible to you. Now, if you have a question, in the show notes, there is going to be my email, and you can type a question in there, and I will answer it in the next episode. I also have a free workout plan down below. So if you ever want a 12-week workout plan to help you feel stronger, reduce body aches and pains, and help you get started with exercise, you can get that today in your email so that way you can get started with feeling healthier and better after cancer. Once again, I'm JC. I'm a clinical exercise physiologist and cancer exercise specialist. It's been a pleasure talking with you today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.